everybody, and welcome back to the Blossom Review. How are you? Today we're talking about TVN's excellent Undercover Miss Hong, a workplace dramedy that came to a close a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't watched the show yet, do not worry, this review is spoiler-free. So, Undercover Miss Hong introduces us to the one and only Hong Gun-bo, played by Park Shin-hye, a brilliant, confident and thick-skinned senior inspector of the Capital Market Investigation Division at the Financial Supervisory Service in Seoul. Set in the late 90s, it's no surprise to see that Hong is the only woman in the office, and that her colleagues are clearly offended by the fact that she dares not only to be more than the coffee girl, but also to do her job better than everyone else. Hong is determined to uncover the corruption behind the powerful Hamin Investment and Securities, but with all their money and ties with the government, Hong seems to be fighting a losing battle. She is given a glimmer of hope when a member of Hamin's upper echelon contacts her, offering evidence of the company's financial misconduct, a detailed slush fund ledger. Only a glimmer it was indeed, because her contact soon loses his life in a questionable car accident, leaving Hong with a half-baked investigation that gives the naysayers around her enough reason to demote her. With the support of her loyal supervisor, Hong decides to assume her young sister's identity and embark on an undercover mission to find the whistleblower and their elusive ledger. And so, Hong Gun-bo becomes Hong Jan-mi, a 20-year-old high school graduate who joins Hamin as a junior clerk and moves into the Seoul City dormitory for single female workers. There, she is to share a room with Senior Secretary Go Bok-hee, played by Ha Yoon-kyung, fellow junior clerk Gang Yoon-ju, played by Choi Ji-soo, and bank teller Kim Mi-suk, played by Gang Chae-young. These four women, coming from completely different backgrounds and carrying different wounds and desires, become the beating heart of Undercover Miss Hong. Against a sexist world that sees them as inferior and weak, they revolutionize not only their own lives and the lives of those who surround them, but the whole financial district of Yeouido. Undercover Miss Hong counts on a tight script in which every single character has a vital role to play, and every single scene matters. After a first episode that sets clear stakes, goals, and initial characterization, the narrative unravels at a confident pace, knowing when to let an event breathe and when to speed things up. The tone feels grounded, serious but never too solemn, thanks to a sharp sense of humor that permeates the series. After all, how could you tell a story about a 35-year-old highly educated woman who pretends to be a 20-year-old high school graduate without a good dose of irony? Undercover Miss Hong is constantly self-aware, making excellent use of what we call lampshading throughout. So lampshading is when a story points out an implausible element that could potentially threaten the audience's suspension of disbelief, a sort of wink from the scriptwriter that says, yes, I know this is crazy, but go along with it, okay? The fact that Hong doesn't look or act like an inexperienced 20-year-old is referred to all the time, leading to all sorts of jokes and silly shenanigans that stop the series from ever becoming too dark. It is also ironic how Hong and her roommates are constantly outsmarting everyone while being seen as the bottom of the food chain. Undercover Miss Hong is a story about intelligent people who think before they act and whose narrative never hinders their progress by shoehorning preventable circumstances that only exist to create melodrama. No, Undercover Miss Hong is a narrative of meticulous cause and effect. Hong's journey towards and even beyond the slush fund ledger is one full of unpredictable twists and turns. An adventure designed by well-rounded characters who are given agency and wit to cause their own progress or downfall. Hong is a force of nature, constantly changing her environment and the people who are lucky enough to cross paths with her. She is kind, righteous, and a bit too proud for her own good. The sort of protagonist that you can't help but fall in love with and root for. Hong is strong yet vulnerable, and the quest she leads so proactively proves that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the wholehearted commitment to values that are much bigger than the individual. The characters surrounding Hong are given the same care and attention, resulting in a series whose characterization is flawless from beginning to end. Between Hong's unwavering virtue and the Hamin CEO's complete wickedness, Undercover Miss Hong thrives in its morally grey characters. That becomes especially evident in Bok-hee, who is marvelously jaded by an unfair society, and Hong's ex-boyfriend and Hamin president Shin Jung-woo, played by Go Gyeong-pyo, who becomes a compelling enigma that we spend most of the series trying to solve. What are these characters doing next? Why? How? We can only guess. With such strong personalities at its disposal, it goes without saying that this plot is full of variables and different dynamics that grant a pure verve to the show. There is such a variety of relationships in Undercover Miss Hong, and they are all so complex and vivid that you never know what sort of ripple effect these bonds will have in the bigger picture. These dynamics encourage characters to grow organically, leading to an endlessly rewarding journey for the audience. As characters often hide their true intentions and goals, subtext gives a lot of depth to this script, which shape-shifts throughout its 16-episode run. With the IMF crisis bubbling underneath and a tale of greed and selfishness ravaging the lives of everyday workers on top, Undercover Miss Hong goes from an undercover story to a heist to a relentless witch hunt, all the while untying its narrative knots and allowing the story to find a logical and well-developed resolution. Thematically, Undercover Miss Hong heavily relies on contrast to portray bonds of trust. While Hong's rapport with her roommates and colleagues grows ever stronger, the relationships between the antagonists grow ever weaker. Hong knows how to manipulate people's greed and arrogance to win her battles, which she fights alongside the most loyal and sometimes the most surprising allies. Hong's journey never shies away from raising all sorts of moral questions. What is truly fair? How far can we bend without breaking? Can one's pursuit of justice and fair punishment for the fat cats actually harm the common folk? As our characters come up with their own answers, they navigate a story about commitment, integrity, and work ethic, about standing up to your values and using them to carve your path through life. Beyond corruption and justice, Undercover Miss Hong also offers some very sharp social commentary on sexism in the workplace, nepotism, and exploitative company culture. Social systems and capitalism not so quietly punctuate this narrative, leading to a series that has much to share and discuss beyond the goofiness of its premise or the excitement of its revelations. Most importantly, Undercover Miss Hong is a story about women. Women as kaleidoscopic, ingenious, and resourceful beings who never give in to a system that oppresses them. A compelling illustration of the beauty and strength of sisterhood and motherhood, This is a story that celebrates the kindness and warmth that mark these bonds, allowing them to fuel the development of a more equal, respectful, and robust society. This narrative and thematic cohesion is beautifully bolstered by the cast's immaculate performances and a very well-established visual language. The production design is gorgeously authentic, the color schemes are always on point, and the cinematography gives texture and spirit to Hong's tale. Also, the soundtrack is very 90s-esque, yet modern enough to connect Hong to us in the present. So the final question is, should you watch Undercover Miss Hong? Cleverly written and confidently delivered, Undercover Miss Hong is a superb workplace dramedy that keeps you on your toes to its very last episode. A bit like a huge, intriguing puzzle, this script carves each and every single piece carefully, making sure that they all fit perfectly together to convey the story it wants to tell. Hong's caper is captivating, funny, and despite its 90s setting, surprisingly timely, which means that you finish Undercover Miss Hong with the feeling that Hong is still out there, forever bringing down corrupt administrations, changing the people she meets, and making the world a better place, one undercover stint at a time. Undercover Miss Hong is available on Netflix. Quick reminder that our complete review of Undercover Miss Hong is now available on the Blossom Review, and over on Substack this week we reviewed Hikari's Rental Family. I'll leave all the links in the description if you guys would like to give them a read. Guys, thank you so very much for being here. I really hope that you like this video and you subscribe so I can see you here every week for a new review. Take very good care of yourself and have a lovely day today. Thank you so very much.